Coming to you live from Susanville, California, this is Lassen Voices. I am your host, Jacey Pontarolo, and these are my two co-hosts,
Kourtney McNutt
and Addison Dollar.
And this week we have breaking news. Our first story tonight centers around what really happened with the St. Francis fire on the early morning of November 1st.
The St. Francis Hotel was built in 1913 and opened in 1914. The building was designed by a Nevada architect named Frederick de Longchamps. The hotel was bought by Francesca Murr, who named the hotel after herself.
The hotel on the corner of Main and Union Streets was a symbol of uptown Susanville and was the subject of a multi-million-dollar restoration project. Sadly, this all went away when it burned down due to suspected arson.
The historical landmark, a great asset to the community, as stated before by Addison, was recently purchased to be renovated, but that is no longer the plan. This devastating event has affected many citizens of Susanville, California.
The suspected arsonist, Dahani Willow Orr, was taken into custody on November 1st, 2024. She later then pleaded not guilty to the charges at her arraignment on November 4th, 2024.
Orr waived the 10-day requirement, but not yet the 60-day time rule for a preliminary hearing. She was ordered to be held without bail and set the other hearing for November 20th, 2024.
As the town of Susanville comes to terms with the devastating St. Francis fire, Fire Captain Leon Myers joins Jacey to share about his firsthand experience from responding to the incident.
How did the building's historic architecture affect your ability to fight the fire?
Yeah, so one of our concerns with those types of buildings, especially the older ones, is they're what we consider a type 3 building construction. So they consist of usually like brick and stone masonry exteriors, and the interiors are all combustible materials, so wood supports, rafters, all the furnishing fixtures, everything inside is wood. So those can burn away, which takes away a lot of the support inside the building, so they're prone to collapse, which actually, it happened on the Bravo side of that building. During the firefighting operations, all the interior burned out and that one side collapsed down, and also a lot of it collapsed in on itself. And it can be very dangerous, and that's probably the biggest concern with most of our uptown fires.
How did you communicate with the public and local media about the fire, especially given the historic nature of the hotel?
One thing with that is it was a big enough fire that we didn't have to communicate directly initially. A lot of the public came out to the fire because they'd seen it that morning. So on social media, things spread pretty quickly. But usually here at the station, with something like that, we communicate through press releases. So we write those the following day just to give updates about what we did, kind of who responded, how we handled the incident, and that way people actually have the facts of what happened, especially with this one, because there were a lot of other reports of things that were not factual that happened inside the building, people being stuck in the building, and things like that. So
The Anecdote, a worldwide charity program, has set up a donation fund to help rebuild the St. Francis Hotel in Susanville, California. After this devastating event, you can call to donate at 1-800-449-5049 or go to the website s.francis/donatenow.com.
Thank you, Addison. Now let's go ahead and take a look at a communal perspective from Chris Sullivan, President of the Lassen County Arts Council.
What was your initial reaction to the evacuation emergency, and why was it your initial reaction?
So it happened in the middle of the night. So I got a phone call at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Initially, I was dazed and confused. And then I realized, oh, there's a fire by the gallery. So our initial response was the art. There were a lot of pieces in here that can't be replaced, originals, things like that.
Yeah.
So we quickly had to come up with an evacuation plan for the artwork. That was probably the biggest thing that we had to worry about at the moment. So we decided anything that was original, it was hand painted, anything that could be affected by smoke long term, we got those things out of the building, and then we went from there as far as priorities. but yeah, it's just saving those things that can't be recreated.
How badly were you affected by the St. Francis fire? If you were affected, how long did it take for you to get back on your feet?
So we could have been affected a lot worse than we were. Honestly, the worst part was maybe the smell. We were a little bit worried about the smoke damage within the building. Our biggest concern was the art.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time of the fire, our artist that we were featuring was Michael Kirby. And we had a lot of his original, one-of-a-kind pieces, along with other artists. And so that was kind of our biggest concern, as well as our roof. We have a very old roof, so we were really worried about the sparks and maybe our building. So it could have been a lot worse than it was.
Thank you, Chris. It is vital to remain aware of our community and support each other in times of tragedy. So thank you, Kourtney, for conducting this interview.
Of course, Addison. And a special thank you to Leon Myers and Chris Sullivan for giving up their time to show our community your firsthand experiences with this devastating event.
As we wrap up today's coverage, we would like to thank all of our first responders who were there on the early morning of November 1st and express our greatest gratitude for informing and keeping the community safe. That is all for now. Thank you for joining us, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.